I'm addicted to pornography.
Oh.
My name is Yvonnedeculo.
And I'm Jake Loom.
And welcome to this week's episode of The Victory Lap,
where we review the latest episode of Season 8 of... RuPaul's Drag Race.
This week we have RuPaul's Fabulous Book Ball, and it was also a queen-sized episode.
They all should have been 90-minute episodes.
Really,
let's be real.
I can't wait for the season where the episodes are 2 hours.
We got everything. We've got tears, laughter, bitchiness.
A lot of it came out of nowhere for me. Derek and Naomi kind of fought in the first Untucked, when Naomi was like, I think drag should be fierce. And Derek was like, really? You think that's fierce? Kind of just seemed to pop up out of nowhere. Her beef has been with Bob, but now they're best frenemies. So it's just like, just gotta target somebody else. It was very Coco and Alyssa, how as soon as Coco and Alyssa had kind of like resolved their issues and Alyssa went home, Coco started focusing her energy on Jinx. And it was just like, where did this come from? That was out of nowhere. Where did the wig gluing down thing come from, by the way?
I have watched all the Untucks. I do not recall them ever in the Untucks, ever in the show, ever mentioning anything about Naomi's wigs, other than the fact that they look laid.
This week's mini challenge was the Bitch Fest Puppet Show, which is our kind of like staple top 5 moment.
Everybody loves puppets.
Everybody loves puppets except for Honey Mahogany. And I'm tiny.
It was a little bit like last season's puppet show where it was 1 or 2 really good ones. And
Bob was hilarious.
Bob was really funny with the kimchi one. She had props.
Kim was there.
She was there. It wasn't laugh out loud funny.
Chi-Chi was, I thought she was like kind of giggle funny. I personally thought Bob was funnier. But I mean, Chi-Chi's whole like jokes thing, that was very clever.
My biggest problem with Chi-Chi's was that she basically just did Ben de la Creme's Bianca.
Yeah.
I'm from New York. I'm really loud. I keep talking.
I'm from New York. I have no problems.
I thought Bob's was funnier.
I thought Bob's was funny. It felt more creative.
It did, and yes, Bob went for the easy things, the lisp, the fact that, you know, Kimchi can't walk in heels.
Water.
But it was funny, and she did it in like a kind of like, but I love you kind of way. So, I don't know. I would have named Bob the winner. But I guess they didn't want to have Bob win everything.
This is one of those mini challenges where winning wasn't necessarily a positive because Chi-Chi had to direct the little opening number, which has been a staple over the last several seasons, not including season 7.
I hate when they do that. When you're like, yay, I want a mini challenge. You're in charge of this thing and now you have more, you know, more eyes on you because of it.
Didn't this happen in episode 2 though? Didn't this happen with Bitch Perfect? Where Chi-Chi won the mini challenge, she won that dance off, and then she had to choreograph part of her group's thing. So then we find out that the main challenge is to create 3 different looks, and it's the story of your drag life.
I was so happy that it was 3 looks instead of just like 2 or whatever that they went
Granted, making an entire Hello Kitty costume is a pretty big endeavor. I still think they should have done 3. In season 3, they did a hairball, they did a cake challenge, they did freaking all kinds of design challenges.
I'm just saying, if it's anything less than 3 categories, it's not a ball.
Exactly, it's not a ball. The first look was to create a baby look. The second look was to create a mama look. And then the third was to create a look entirely out of pages of books. Or just books in general, it didn't have to be pages.
I'll TL shade. This is a little bit of a loose concept.
It was.
Instead of making a book like they did in season 2, you are the book.
You know, I almost would have rather have seen this challenge earlier on, maybe swapped with the makeover challenge, and had the makeover challenge be made out of paper and make it a really hard kind of challenge since they had women, and then do the ball like the Wizard of Oz ball, and have like a Kansas look, General Oz look, and then a specific character.
To be fair, they had David and Amy Sedaris, who both have written, you know, some very good books. I've not read them, but I hear they're great. Michelle has a book, Ross has a book, Rue has a book.
It was a book palooza.
It was a book palooza.
The biggest disappointment for me was that there was no executive realness. That's been a staple every season except for season 7. We've always had an executive realness look, and there was no executive realness this time. That's my only real disappointment. I love this challenge because I love to make things out of unconventional material. I actually have an entire dress that's made out of cards. I didn't wear it tonight because I can't sit in it.
I'm a little offended that they ripped up books.
I was sad that they ripped up books. Although, if they had Tyler Oakley's book there, I'd be totally okay if they ripped up that book.
Especially like that Derek ripped up one of RuPaul's books. Yeah, I didn't know those were still in print.
So let's talk about their individual runways. For the baby realness, we'll start off with Bob the drag queen, who I thought was obnoxiously cute.
She looked real cute.
So adorable.
She had that snatched ponytail, and she had those big eyelashes.
She was the only one who looked like she was a child in adult clothes.
Yeah.
It very much gave me Chanel's I Want a Hippopotamus for Christmas lip sync, where she's got this really big, over-exaggerated dress, and she's got this huge wig, and she looks like a little girl.
Yeah.
It was very that. It was super cute.
I thought it was great, and I thought it was pretty much exactly what any little boy dressing up in his mama's clothes is gonna look like. So it gets a good job from me.
I used to sneak into my parents' waterbed and I'd pull out my mom's earrings and I'd pretend that I could wear them. My parents had a waterbed. And my grandma actually had a wig. She had an exact wig of her hair because she was terribly afraid that she would go bald one day. And she had these huge high heels, and my uncle would put me in her high heels and he'd stick the wig on me and like wrap me up in like blankets. He'd make me walk down the hallway, and I'm pretty sure he did it to make fun of me, but that was like my first drag experience.
There it is.
Which may be why I paint so old.
You want to be your grandma?
I think so.
Chi-Chi's look was cute. The only really like great thing I liked about hers was the giant bracelets.
They were really cute.
They were really cute, and it was really clever how they were attached. I don't know if that was something they provided to them because
there were a bunch of really oversized pieces of jewelry.
Yeah, because they
table
provided them
showed.
with the oversized shoes and like the oversized pearls, but I don't know if the bracelets were part of it. But just the whole concept, the purple theme was really good. My only thing was, you know, whereas Bob did like that snatch back like little kid ponytail off to the side, Chi-Chi's looked like her normal like drag queen hair. She did
tried to play it off.
that she would put on her mama's wigs, but like I said at the time, like you needed to make that read more because it was too fitted to your face. Like she needed like a giant like bang piece that hung maybe a little too low or something to just make us.
She looked a little too old, I think.
Yeah, it made her look a little too much like I'm a grown woman.
Mm-hmm. Next we have Derek Barry serving us a Dora Delano. I really hated the whole concept. Like, yes, every boy around Derek's age grew up watching The Little Mermaid, and there were ways to do that look, and there were ways to do that look, and Derek did not do that look.
If you were gonna do that, if you were gonna say like my inspiration to get into drag was that I played mermaids in the tub, what you needed to do was like you needed to create a wig out of like a red towel or something, or like a red blanket. Make the whole thing like just couture it up a little bit. But even then, like because this challenge is like baby drag realness, she could have gotten away with doing, you know, kind of not a messy, but something constructed that still gave the right idea of mermaid, but wasn't a fucking evening gown and lace front Ariel red wig.
Also, it was just tacky.
But shout out to Derek Barry for blocking out her eyebrows and penciling them in.
I was so mad that that's the only thing she focused on this episode was blocking out her eyebrows. And there's so much more to drag than that. There's blush and contour and shadows and craziness. And I'm not one to talk because I'm insane. But there's more than just a really raised brow. It's funny because Derek kept being like, well, if I do that, it's not impersonation makeup, it's drag makeup. And it's like, you know you're on RuPaul's Drag Race, right?
What show we on? What show we on? What studio
what's the show
is this?
title? RuPaul Drag Race?
Famous squeeze on RuPaul's Drag Race.
Okay. Next we have Kim Chi serving Pikmin realness.
Oh, she was so
cute.
cute. We'll talk about it more as we get into Kim Chi's other looks, but Kim Chi had a theme running through all of her autobiography and her looks, and hers actually was the only one that had a consistent theme and that actually read like an autobiographical kind of account of
Whimsical,
Kim Chi's.
yeah.
You know, granted it was a very fairy tale, whimsical, almost like an allegory of her life, but
it almost worked to me though because Kim Chi doesn't have the best relationship with her mother.
Yeah.
In the fact, you know, that she doesn't really know about her. And so I think placing herself and displacing herself in the future where everything is so much better. I thought that was so creative and smart.
It was really interesting. I really just enjoyed the whole overarching concept of hers, and we'll talk about it more once we get to her final look. But I mean, Kimchi just had a concept from the get-go, and that's what I love about Kimchi, is she always has a concept with everything she does. She doesn't always hit it, like last week. You know, the whole food allegory thing didn't quite land, but she always has a cool, interesting concept for what she does.
And finally, we have Naomi Smalls serving Tommy Pickles' realness. I hate that we're always harping on Naomi, but I think it's because she is so fierce, and I feel like I expect more from her. Like, Violet and Fame were fierce the fuck house down boots, but they always delivered, and they always had a strong concept, where I feel like Naomi is always serving the same thing. And my problem was the diaper. She took it way too literal in doing a baby look, and it's like, you're supposed to do your first time in drag, not you as a baby on the runway.
Yeah.
And that was what my biggest problem was. It looked like she took a doo-doo inside of that diaper, because it was saggy in the back, there was nothing really couture about it, and I didn't understand why the judges were, particularly Ross, raving over how couture it looked.
I don't know what I'm not understanding about Naomi and about her drag, because my little brother loved it. I feel like I'm part of the old lady brigade with Ginger and Kennedy or something, but I mean, God knows I'm a fan of almost every kind of drag out there. I am the fan of every kind of drag out there. There's a few things within the drag culture I'm like, don't do that. But I just didn't see it. It wasn't fierce to me in the least bit. Mm-hmm. In fact, it was the worst of the baby looks to me.
I agree.
Somebody explain to me what I'm missing, please.
My biggest problem with all of the baby looks in general, and this is just a general critique on all the queens, is I didn't like that none of them didn't do anything with the shoes. Because those red shoes didn't complement any of those outfits. And it made Derek look worse. It didn't match Chi-Chi's outfit. Bob was the only one who really pulled it off, I think. It really accentuated how bad Naomi's outfit was for me. And I don't really think it gelled with Kimchi's outfit. And I'm just curious on why none of them did anything with the shoes.
I don't know, maybe it was just the concept of like you just grabbed a pair of heels out of your mom's closet and
maybe
you don't have the style sense yet.
I don't know. So for our mother looks, we're gonna start out with Bob the drag queen, who's giving us Viola Davis realness. Oh, she was so fierce.
Literally just Viola Davis. The first time I saw it, I was like, yes, bitch. But when we watched it the second time, because we stayed and we watched the repeat of the episode, I was like, yes, bitch, for her attitude. But the actual ensemble was very pedestrian in comparison to everybody else. It's an homage to your mother. You're not gonna accentuate the bad things. You're gonna accentuate everything that's fabulous about her. And a pantsuit is, I feel like that's just not the most fabulous thing in the world. He tried to play it off as, you know, my mom was the kind of woman who could go into Ross, pick out an outfit, and make you think it was designer. Which is fair.
I think Bob sold it.
I'm gonna disagree this time.
You're drooping. Now we have Chi-Chi, who was in a gorgeous gown. The padding was so beautiful. It was beautiful.
Beautiful. I mean, basically this was almost the exact same silhouette as her dress from last week.
Yes.
However, the difference was the way she did her makeup, the hair, the jewelry.
She was whipped.
Everything was perfect. This is probably the best Chi-Chi's ever looked.
Yes.
Which is kind of sad because, I mean, honestly, it was that totally trailer trash, like, I'm gonna put on a leopard dress because that's my idea of classy. And it's like, that's not, you don't wear leopards to be classy.
Fierce,
but
though.
she looked fierce. That was, I'm not saying that she's never looked like a drag queen, but Chi-Chi looked like a queen.
Next we have Derek Barry serving Candy Ho Beard realness.
Oh.
I did not care for this outfit one single bit.
She looked like
a mess.
Sigourney Weaver.
Oh, don't do her dirty like that.
In a bad 80s movie. Rosemary. She looked like Rosemary in Rosemary's Baby. Like standing in the billowing dress like, my child is Satan.
Next we have Kim, which, oh my gosh, this outfit was gorgeous with the dandelions in her hair, furthering this plant storyline that she's got going on.
Yeah.
She just looked so beautiful and elegant.
For the first one, she was a little sprout. She had a little green sprout coming out of her head. Very, you know, Daisy head Maisie, Horton, here's the who, I loved it. And so for this one, as her mother, she took that concept, and her mother was not a dying flower, but an older flower. So she was a dandelion, a sprout. And it was art. She was wearing a traditional Korean outfit. I'm not going to try to pronounce the name because I don't want to offend anybody. But it was a traditional Korean outfit that I believe she said her
So
mother had actually
beautiful.
worn at one time. And then she had those long, like, spiky nails, and I lived.
She was so stunning.
And
I
just
can't praise her enough.
And here's the thing about it too, it was a performance piece.
Mhm.
Like, just the somberness, just very much, you know, like the tradition and the, you know, the everything, and with the narration. Like, Kimchi's only problem with her narration is that Kimchi tends to talk in a very monotone voice when she's talking, and then she tends to go down very low. Just the second she came out, I was just blown away. It was so my aesthetic and what I love to see in fashion and art. And I
could see this in a fashion magazine. Lastly, for the mama looks, we have Naomi Smalls giving us another bathrobe with a turtleneck.
I appreciated the vintage couture aspect of it, because it definitely looked vintage to me. Like,
Yes.
the style of the sleeves and the neck, it definitely looked very like 50s, 40s, which was gorgeous. However, it was essentially a long, flowy bathrobe again. And this was probably one of the worst wigs I've ever seen on Naomi.
Here's the other thing for me is that if this was not a silhouette that Naomi had done again and again and again, I would have been really okay with this look, but because I'm comparing it to everything else she's done, it's like, okay, this is like, what, the 7th time that you've pulled up a silhouette like this?
I would just like to see like a more traditional skirt or you know, bottom to these pieces instead of the parted flowing thing, like make room for my giant gazelle legs. Like, we get it. You have amazing legs. You need to do something else. And again, I mean, nobody clocked her for it.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody gagged, but nobody clocked her for the fact that it was essentially a bathrobe again.
I don't know. I was whatever about it.
It was safe.
Yeah. When you stack everybody up next to each other, it wasn't that exciting.
It wasn't that exciting. It was hardcore safe, which, for all the praise that Naomi does get, not just from the judges, but from people online and from fans of the show, I want her to be more than just safe.
So now for our couture look, we're gonna start with Bob the Drag Queen. Okay, so I really liked Bob's outfit at first, and then when she dissected it and said that it wasn't actually made out of books, and that it was a cardboard, that's where I was like, okay, so you basically pulled a Jinx during the candy ball where you were like, I made this outfit that looks like a candy cane, but there's no candy on it. But it's supposed to look like a candy cane. And Bob tried to be like, well, books are made out of cardboard. And like Michelle said, not all books are made out of cardboard.
Sing it with me if you know the words. She didn't embrace the material. It's a pity because she was so close. Because she did have a train piece or a skirt piece that was made out of book pages.
It would have looked really cool too.
And it would have been perfect, but just for some reason she decided she didn't like it and she threw it out the window. And it is a pity because what she did construct was
gorgeous.
So cool. I loved it, but it wasn't the
It was very
materials.
couture.
It was very couture.
Oh.
And it was the little details. It was the color gradation. It was the little, like, I don't know what they were, like pearls or whatever it was. She stuck to the ends of the points all up in here. Just gorgeous. And that wig.
That wig and it was
wig.
It was beautiful. I at first did not want Bob to be in the bottom, and I was kind of making this horrible face when she was announced at the bottom. But the more that I think about it, she did not construct an outfit made out of pages or books. It was made out of cardboard, which is not books.
Yeah.
If she had cut open the books and created her whole outfit and then spray painted it and been like, these are actually pages, but I just spray painted it, I would have been okay with that. And I would have been like, there's no reason why you should be in the bottom. You followed the assignment. But again, it's the same thing of what Jinx did.
Yeah.
It's like, you threw away everything that had the assignment. Next we have Chi Chi, whose couture outfit was very high fashion.
I thoroughly enjoyed hers. She was giving me, you know what she looked like to me? And I almost wish that she had done a bun instead of a braid, because she was giving me like spiky Swan Lake realness.
She was hardcore giving me Katya and Miss Kasha Davis's Bjork. That's what she was giving
the swan
me.
dress.
It looked exactly like that. All it was missing was the swan
The
head.
swan coming out of her tit. I really liked it. I thought it was excellent that she took the pages and she didn't just crinkle them up and like attach them to a dress like Naomi did. That she didn't just cut them up and glue them to something like Derek did. But that she took the pages and then cut shapes out of them.
She transformed
And
it.
she transformed it and she focused on making patterns and shapes, because like there were multiple. She had the spikes up here. She had this.
She had stuff in her hair.
Stuff in her hair. She had freaking paper earrings made out of book pages. But then at the bottom, she like accordion folded the pages so that there was this ruffled texture like you would find underneath the skirt of a dress. And it was fantastic. And the makeup again was just on point. And I was genuinely very proud of Chi-Chi this week. And I am happy that she's in the top 4 because I was getting a little nervous about Chi-Chi for a while there. And I knew she was gonna make it up to at least top 4. And I was like, really? But seeing like that she's growing and she's learning and she's
trying so hard.
She's trying to be what the judges are asking for. She gets my seal of approval.
This was the Chi-Chi that I wanted to see when she came in with that really gorgeous trash bag.
Yes.
This was the Chi-Chi I wanted to see all season.
First time we've seen that Chi-Chi.
Next we have Derek Barry, who was just... I don't understand what Derek was thinking this whole entire thing. And like, I really don't think that Derek could have even saved herself had this outfit been really good because the other looks were so not spectacular. It's just, she literally did exactly what she's done for every single design challenge. The only thing she was missing was a skirt.
The problem is that it was specifically autobiographical realness. So to create a Britney Spears bikini corset made out of RuPaul's, almost entirely out of RuPaul's book, the problem is that is exactly what she does. You go see Derek's show, I'm pretty sure 90% of her outfits are gonna be Britney Spears bikinis. Mm-hmm. So it's like...
She's tucked real tight though.
The tuck was fantastic. But I don't know, it's hard to be like, you should have done a gown because that's not Derek Barry as a queen. You're not gonna go to the Vegas show and see Derek in a long flowing gown. You're gonna see her in a corset and a wig.
But Derek has said since episode 1 that she's trying to break out of her Britney box and show the world that she can do more than Britney. And every single time she's forced to do something, she goes into that box.
Honestly, like, it wasn't even that cute of a corset. I'm sorry. It was such a messy looking thing up close. From a distance, you're like, oh! And then you saw the up close, like, just like the kind of ratchety, like, it looked like a high schooler's vision board.
Next we have Kim Chi.
Oh, Kim Chi.
Who was spectacular. She was giving me Gardevoir. She was giving me Golden Afternoon, Alice in Wonderland.
It was fantastic.
Beautiful.
So this was the fulfillment of, you know, being a little sprout that sprouted from her mother's dandelion seeds. She's now a full-grown flower. She's a queen. She's come into her own. And my God, I want to know how she managed to construct all 3 of these things, because she created, you know, that outfit she wore for the Sprite, clearly. Yes, her outfit as her mother was, you know, a traditional Korean dress that she brought with her, but she still had to style that wig and build the dandelion pieces, and then to construct this entire flower fantasy. That needs to go in the RuPaul's Drag Race Museum.
My only problem with it, and it's not even that there was a problem, is that the skirt looked a little bit like that igloo dress from the Lizzie McGuire movie.
Ah.
But I mean, it was very high fashion. It was gorgeous. I just don't like that silhouette. I don't know what about it. I just hate it.
Because of the concept, because of everything, Kim Chi was the winner of this challenge, and it was,
which she was so deserved.
Was very well deserved. And
if you go into a runway with a concept, it's just
yes.
Like, yes.
Especially when it's multiple looks. If you bring a concept through it, the judges love that. She nailed it. She was beautiful. And I'm so proud of her for making it to top 4.
Finally, we have Naomi Smalls giving us the exact same silhouette as her boat outfit from episode 1.
I thought her boat outfit was like, it was like a 70s mod, like, slim fit dress.
Yeah, but like, she looked like she was in her boat.
To me, this looked more like, exactly like her silhouette from her scarecrow dress.
This is a very safe silhouette for her.
It's something, I mean, quote Bianca, yes, I made the same dress 7 times. And won!
It was safe. It wasn't jaw-dropping.
It was very well done. Like, I'm not trying to knock Naomi.
It was well constructed.
And say it was bad, because it was beautifully constructed. Like, the usage of the kinds of pages she used to create the dimension in the dress were great. My only problems are that it was literally the same kind of like big balloon skirt as her scarecrow dress with a more fitted bodice, and that it really just kind of looked like crumpled up pieces of paper glued to something, and that stylistically, it was exactly the same as her boat dress with the long straight hair, which was also the same as her Madonna look, and also the other ones. Do you get what I'm going with this? Like, it was beautiful, but it was much of the same.
Derek's been doing the exact same thing every single week. The difference is that Derek keeps getting harped on, where Naomi is not getting harped on for doing the exact same thing every week.
Sorry guys, try to explain to me what it is that's got you gagging. I concede that she's got the style. It's just, there's no personality there.
It's safe. And I need more than safe from top 4.
Damn, Michelle.
Tonight's lip sync song was You Make Me Feel Mighty Real, and it was Bob and Derek lip syncing, which Derek went home. At first I was very upset that Bob was at the bottom, but it really boils down to the fact that Bob did not have any pages of books on her dress.
She didn't embrace the materials.
And as much as I did not gag over Naomi's look, she embraced the materials.
I pretty much knew it was gonna be Derek going home, comparatively. Like, of course it was Bob and Derek. That's all I can say. Like, of course it came down to that.
I was 100% certain when the show started that Thorgy, Bob, and Kim Chi would be the first group to never have to lip sync. They'd make it all the way to top 3, and they would have never lip sync, and fuck, I was totally wrong. The only one who hasn't lip sync and never will lip sync for her life until next week is Kim Chi. And even then, I don't really count that as a real lip sync for your life if you don't go home.
Lip synced either, has she?
So next week is our final episode until we get to the crowning. We'll have countdown to the crown after this. Next week is the music video challenge, and we'll probably have an acting challenge like we have every season. My biggest concern, and this is just me personally, and it has been hinted at again and again and again, that Kim Chi is not a performer. She's like Miss Fame, where she's very visually beautiful, but she doesn't really perform. And a big part of the music video / the final lip sync is performing. And I just have this horrible sinking feeling that Kim Chi is gonna get sent home because she's not gonna perform as strongly as the other 3.
Yeah.
And that would just be so devastating to me, because I really feel like Kim Chi deserves to be at top 3 and possibly be one of the first double crowned queens. A lot of people are hinting that Bob and Kim Chi could very easily be the first double crowned queens, which I would die. I would
take it.
Gag. I would just scream and holler and shoot off fireworks from the balcony here. Like, and I have this horrible feeling that she's gonna go home. If we're looking at like a point scale, and if we're looking at how the performers have gone throughout the entire season, and if the judges keep that all in mind, Chi Chi would be the next to go home, because she has only won 1 challenge, I believe. She's been in the bottom twice, where Naomi has won once, and she's only been in the bottom once. So, I mean, I feel like just off splitting hairs, Chi Chi would be the next to go, but I think it's very possible that because this is a performance thing, there's acting, which we know that Kim Chi is not very strong in, and there's going to be some kind of music video, which I just don't see Kim Chi doing spectacularly if there's any kind of choreography.
Honestly, I don't see anyone but Naomi doing very well at a music video type situation, because it's just not any of their things. Like, Chi-Chi's really fierce, but honestly, when they put her in front of cameras, she tends to like kind of clam up.
Yeah.
She gets in her head about being performance. Like, just look at her,
it's like
her presidential video. Yeah, she gets in her head, and everything that's sassy and fun about her just gets all sort of stiff and awkward. Kim Chi is the same way. She kind of clams up on camera. You know, she doesn't have to talk in this one, but it's like, will she get over kind of those self-conscious things that she has and be able to really engage with it? Naomi, this is pretty much her specialty, is here's a camera, make love to it, and that's what she's good at.
Like, I think Bob is going to slay at the acting.
Yes.
I think that Chi-Chi's going to slay at the dancing. I think Naomi is going to slay at just being fierce and
in the video,
doing very good at serving face in the video.
Yeah.
And I think with lip syncing, I feel like it's going to come down to like Chi-Chi's going to do really great, and we know that Bob's going to do really great.
I genuinely don't know who's going to be top 3.
But shout out to the fact that this is the first top 4, which is all queens of color, since season 3, where we had all queens of color. We had no white queens in the top 4, which I think is fantastic to have that representation, because the last couple seasons we've not had that. Yeah.
That's my impression.
Thank you. That's good. You play me in the Snatch Game. I go home that episode.
Ah!
Let us know who you think our top 3 is going to be.
Let us also know what you think of our comments about the queens this week.
Don't direct your hate at me. Send it all to me.
You can send it all to me. Explain to me what it is you all love about Naomi. Help me understand it better, because I want to understand. I'm not Kennedy and Ginger saying like, I don't get it and I don't want to. I want to understand.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of The Victory Lap.
We'll be back next week, whether you want us to or not.
Say goodbye to her.